Hello, today we're going to be talking about Geographical Group Projects on FamilyTreeDNA. So today we're going to look at what geographical projects are. I'm going to give you some examples of how we have used projects in the North of Ireland Family History Society, and then I'm going to show you an example of where we have made progress. So to get started, why would we carry out a geographical project? Well, it's really all about building up the database and getting more testers who have ancestors from a certain area or place. And the reason you might want to do that is because you're trying to tease out the connections between people further back than what you know in order to work these family trees backwards. And group projects are a really good way of doing that. We use all different types of DNA when we're working with our DNA matches, and geographical projects are no different. We're using autosomal DNA, Y and mitochondrial DNA, and of course X as well. And as you probably know, when you do an autosomal test with FamilyTreeDNA or you upload from another company, you get X matches, and they can be very important because they can help you to determine what family line your match is on. So we're looking to find connections between people. And what this is giving us is evidence that takes us back beyond paper records in some instances. I am in the North of Ireland Family History Society, and we have a brick wall in Northern Ireland, probably around 1800 on most of our lines. So we're looking to use all these types of DNA to work our family trees backwards into the 1700s. But geographical projects aren't all about matches. They help to create intense interest in the local area where they're taking place. It gets people focused on their shared ancestry, and it gets them curious into what they may find. And this helps us to source testers in the local area. And this has also helped us to find new records which have appeared in people's attics. And we have found family Bibles which give information that wouldn't be available any other way. But we've also found old wills that are mentioning family relationships and which are pre-1858 in Ireland, which means they don't officially exist. There's no official record of these, but they are in some people's attics. And it's not all about how this helps people in Ireland. It also helps people overseas, because if you are living in America or Australia or Canada and you've been using the census records, say in America or Canada, it means that you might just know that your ancestor came from Ireland, but you don't know where. And if you start to get lots and lots of matches from a specific geographical area, it's a really good clue that that's where your ancestors came from. So in order to support what we're doing with our DNA testing, we also research the family trees in those specific geographical areas, and we make that available through WikiTree. And that means the people that are testing for us and other people in the area are able to look at WikiTree at any point in order to see what we have achieved. We can also put in research notes about how we've established that people are connected to each other. So when you're using any project on FamilyTreeDNA, you can go into advanced matches. And this is what I would do if I'm looking to find autosomal matches between people within a project. You would go to your homepage, select advanced matches, and then you would select Family Finder on your list of test options that you get. You then select the project that you want to test within, and you just press Run Report. And what this does is it will find all the people that have a Family Finder match with you that are in that particular project. And then you will get a list of matches. And this is the type of thing that you get. You get the name down the left-hand side, and you get the relationship range. All of these column headings are clickable, and sometimes people don't realize this. So if you want to put all of your Family Finder matches into order, you just click on the word Family Finder, and this will reorganize these matches into the closest ones first, and they'll be shown then in relationship range order. So that's a very good way of comparing your family finder matches within any group project. And this can be the first step to finding your connections to a particular area. Okay, moving on to what we have been doing in the North of Ireland Family History Society. We have got an overarching North of Ireland project, and at the moment we have nearly 11,000 members in that. Anyone with any ancestors from the North of Ireland is very willing and very welcome to join us. And we would encourage you to go into your kit and to join our project. We would say that although we are doing 3 other projects within our society, we have FamilyTreeDNA projects for the peninsula of Island Magee, for the area of Ballycarry, and for the town of Killyleagh. But we would encourage you to join the North of Ireland project first, because that's our entrance level project covering all 9 counties of Ulster. That's why we refer to ourselves as the North of Ireland, because it's Northern Ireland plus Cavan, Monaghan and Donegal, which are in the Republic of Ireland. So what we do then is we will look at your matches within the North of Ireland project, and if we assess that you have connections in Island Magee, Ballycarry or Killyleagh, we would then allow you to join those projects as well. But we do curate them in order to restrict access, because we only want people in those projects that also have ancestors from that particular area. So everyone's welcome to join the North of Ireland project, and all of the kits that are in the Island Magee, Ballycarry and Killyleagh projects are also in the North of Ireland project for you to compare to. So whenever we started these projects, we have then supported it, as I said earlier, on WikiTree. And this is an example of the homepage that we use for our Island Magee DNA project. And you can see here a map of Northern Ireland, and this is where Island Magee is. This is the little peninsula. It is about 6 or 7 miles long by a couple of miles wide. And this is the townlands which are within Island Magee. So we put lots of information on here about the history of the area, the population of the area, the surnames which are commonly found there. And then we also have project links, which allows you to go through all of the different profiles for the people who used to live in Island Magee that we have included in our project. And at the moment, we have over 5,000 of these. So these are some of the project links that we have, and then we explain what's contained within those categories. And this shows you the surnames that were found in the area in the 1800s and the 1900s, and the ones that are not bold are ones that we don't have DNA testers for. The black ones are ones where we have an autosomal test, and the red ones are ones where we have an autosomal tester and a Y tester. So it's a way of us charting our progress and seeing which names were found there and how we are doing in sourcing testers for those particular families in the area. So this is the way we can combine what we do with DNA with the information that we can put onto WikiTree, and the two things are working side by side to allow us to make progress. So this is an example of how we have used geographical projects to further our knowledge on genealogy and using DNA to do it. So we started with this particular couple here. We started with William Orr, who was born in 1828, and he married Margaret Semple McAlpin. And we found 9 people who were descendants of this particular couple, and we found that they all had DNA matches with each other. They were generally second, third, and I think third cousins once removed of each other. And we found a high degree of matching, and we found triangulated segments. We also used the family matching tool on FamilyTreeDNA, which is excellent at splitting your matches into paternal and maternal. And then what we did was we looked at the triangulated segments that we found from this couple, and we looked at other people who matched on the same specific blocks of DNA. And we then found a person who was descended from this couple here, William Miller and Jane Thompson. And what we found was when we worked this family back, we found that William Miller was actually part of the Orr family. and he was the son of Margaret Orr, and this was the common ancestors of these 10 matches, and it goes back to 1746 when Alexander Orr was born. So we found this from the autosomal testing, and then we wanted to try to put this together with other genealogy sources and with other types of DNA to see if we could take this further. But that was a good step already, just to be able to use autosomal DNA to get us back to 1746 and have triangulation going that far back. So what we have now is we have almost reached the limits of autosomal DNA, because as we know, autosomal DNA is going around 8 generations back. But what we then found was a document called the Ulster Pedigrees, and it was written by Gavin Orr, who was born in 1756 and died in 1830. And in the 1820s, he wrote this document, and it gave and provided a really good genealogy of the Orr family. It tells us a lot about that family that I've already found. It tells us that Alexander Orr, born in 1746, we know that he was married twice. We have the names of both of his wives. It gives us the name of his niece, who married into the White family, and they also have descendants there today. So that's taking us a generation back, because it's taking us to a niece. And then, incredibly, we got another 6 generations of direct ancestors back from Alexander, and that took us back into the late 1500s. Now, this was only a written document. We didn't yet have DNA proof for that. So we did know that we could perhaps maybe push autosomal DNA maybe 1 generation further back, but that was going to be increasingly harder to do. So therefore, we had to look at other alternative types of DNA, such as Y testing and mitochondrial testing. And we found that because we had some OR testers, we thought that Y DNA was going to be the best solution in this case. So we have used big Y tests to prove the structure of the OR pedigrees is correct. So this document goes back into the 1500s and lists lots and lots of lines coming down from an ancestral couple who were born around 1580. And we have used big Y testing to show that these people are all part of the same OR family. But it also led us to find an 8th cousin and this is for a descendant of Alexander Orr, who was born in 1746. And this takes us back 2 generations further from Alexander. We have the names in this document, and now we have these proven male to son to grandson generations. We have all of this in the book. We have worked these lines down to the present day, and we have found that Y-DNA is confirming exactly what we have in this book. So we're putting proof into genealogy. And then we're going to be using Family Finder within the branches of this bigger tree. So Y-DNA will help us to find the structure of this tree, to find how people are connecting back, maybe in the 1600s or 1700s. But then from the present day to about 8 generations back, it's given us an opportunity to add lots more people into this tree from female lines and from other lines that aren't transmitted down the patrilineal line. So Family Finder is working in tandem with Y-DNA. There will be instances in other families where we are going to be able to use mitochondrial DNA, and we may find a use for that in the OR family as well. But we're going to be able to continue to benefit from local work that's being done on the OR family. We have somebody who's looking at some of the original documents that was used to create the Ulster pedigrees, and that's going to help us uncover new connections both through autosomal and Y-DNA that we haven't yet currently found. So this is going to give us a framework around where we can work on the DNA of a particular area. So this is just one example, one family in our Ballycarry project, but I think it's just giving you an idea of what can be accomplished when you're focusing in on a geographical area. So to summarize, if you were starting off your own geographical project, all you have to do is select an area. I would encourage you to select an area where people have lived for a number of generations. As source, you're going to be able to source testers from that area. But it's also important to include the descendants of people who moved away from the area. As source, you can then find their connections to that original place. We, in many instances in our projects, then we held a public meeting. If you hold a public meeting to discuss the ancestry of an area, you will engender interest in the local population. This could be done in an immigrant population as well. And then we set up a project on FamilyTreeDNA, and then we admitted the testers into that particular project. And then we could use advanced matches to find connections between the people that we have in that project, as well as looking at their connections to people within the wider database. It's very important to focus on all different types of DNA. So even though this may start as an autosomal project, you do want to look at uses of Y, mitochondrial, and X DNA, because they can all contribute in different ways and enable you to take things further. And then it's a good practice to make your research available. And we found WikiTree was perfect for this, in that we could make that available to people. They could go up and look up their own ancestors, and it let them see that the whole project was progressing. But the most important thing is that we test widely. We build up the Family Finder database. We use it in conjunction with other types of DNA, and that is a really good way to make progress. It's something that we've done already, and it's something that I would encourage you to do in the area in which you live. So thank you for listening today. I hope that has been useful, and do consider starting off your own autosomal geographical project. Right, thank you.